Finger gun.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today, myself and Kurt here are gonna go through his BMW drift car build, kind of start to finish. We're gonna go from headlight all the way back to taillight, bring you all the details about his build, talk a little bit about how long Kurt's been working here at the company, and then together I think we're gonna celebrate at the end with a little burnout. Stay tuned until the end of this video where you guys can get entered in a giveaway for a brand new MAPerformance hoodie, along with a gift card good for $25 on any product on our website. Kurt, why don't you tell us a little bit about your project car here?
This is my 1995 BMW 325 IS, or what's left of it. It's a LS swapped, or L33 LS platform E36 drift car.
Some of us call it a rollover machine. He calls it a drift car. I think it's all about the same here. Very cool, man. Where did you get the car? How'd you obtain this car?
One of my friends sent me a link to this thing it's on Facebook Marketplace last October, so a year ago now. Guy said it didn't run. It has low miles, 130,000 miles on the chassis. Went out there.
So it was a very clean chassis before he owned it, guys.
Oh yeah, it came from Texas. It's a Texas car, and in Minnesota, that's hot commodity.
So do you remember the day you first got it? What was the car like when you got it?
Yeah, so I got there expecting it not to run. Went up there with a trailer. I got there, and the guy's like, yeah, man, I just drove it 15 miles. Seems to be running good. Right on. So I was the first one there in a line of 20 people. I guess like a lot of people wanted to buy this car.
Sounds good, man. Well, thanks for telling us a little bit about where you got the car. Why don't we head over to the lift here, put this thing up. You can tell us a little bit more about the engine, the setup that you got, and we'll talk through what you've actually done to the car since you've been employed here.
All right.
Cool. Follow us. All right, man, have you given the car a name, or what do you call this thing?
This is just the rig. I haven't named it really. It's just what I call it.
The rig. Cool. Well, we know it's LS swapped, and we'll probably get into that a little bit. Obviously, it's a BMW, but why don't you talk about some of the modifications you need to make to get this car drift ready?
When I first got this thing together, I had the stock control arms in there. They don't really provide a whole lot of angle, or room for angle, I should say. I upgraded to just E46 control arms, which are about an inch wider at the ball joint. I did eBay knuckle adapters, which move the tie rod end back, allows the sweep of the steering to go further to the side, which is more angle. Better for drifting, better for smoke. I also put 4.5 millimeter rack spacers in this car. What that does is goes inside the inner tie rod ends and spaces the tie rods out a little more, which also allows for more angle.
So that's all the front end modifications then?
Yep, that's it for the steering. For suspension, I was running some eBay coilovers earlier in the season. That was kind of just to get it rolling. I reached out to BC, got some BC BR coils in this thing now, running a 10K front spring rate with an 8K rear. They're the extreme low series.
What other companies have worked with you on getting this set up? Because I'm seeing a couple other pieces under there as well, right?
So I went with, I reached out to Whiteline, and they sent me their sway bar kit. So I'm running a front and rear Whiteline sway bar. I went with M3 struts, so the sway bar links go up rather than to the control arm. Just allows for things to not get tangled. It's really planted. The suspension feels great compared to how it was when I first started.
So now that we know what's done to the suspension of this car to get it ready for drifting, why don't we lower it back down? We'll take a look at the engine. You can talk more about the swap, and then even tell us a little bit more about what you learned along the way. I know when you started here, you were 19, so it's been 5 years for Kurt, guys, and you didn't know how to weld at that point in time, is that correct?
Nope, never
cool,
welded.
So we're gonna get a little bit more on that here in a minute, guys. We'll put the car down, you'll be right back with us. So we've covered most of the modifications that Kurt's done to the suspension on this BMW. And we've all seen BMWs with LS swaps before, or LS base swaps before, but Kurt's gonna walk us through and tell us why this one's a little bit unique and why it's so special to him.
So this is an L33, not an LS. It's an aluminum block 5.3 engine. Eric, our guy here, he helped me build this thing all the way up. He taught me the whole way. It's a bored over 5.4 liter, fully built, forged internal motor, has CNC ported heads from K-Tech. It made 400 wheel horsepower on our dyno in-house. It has a stock LS1 intake manifold, which is currently our biggest restriction point here. One of the cool things about this engine is this throttle body is off our old shop FD race car when it had an LS in it.
Yeah, I know before you had built maybe some rock crawlers, some of those different types of vehicles. I know you were into Jeeps for a little bit, dirt bikes, scooters. Like Kurt is the wheelie man. But I know you've always been into that, and you've been here for 5 years now. But when you first came here, you didn't know how to fabricate. You'd never LS swapped a car. You never built an engine. So just walk us through kind of some of the challenges you came through when trying to put together a project like this. Now you've had it for a year. How long did it really take to build, and what were those challenges along the way?
Right on. Yeah, I mean, the swap took around 6 months in total. A lot of that time, yeah, it was just me like learning, piecing things together. It was a bare engine when I bought it. So I learned I had to order the correct accessory drive, figure out what pulleys I needed to fit, where things needed to be mounted. The engine mounts I put in the car, I had to play with a little bit. They're kind of like universal. So I had to move the motor back and forth, trying to get everything set in a line. The thing that took the longest on this car was definitely the exhaust, of all things.
Is that because you built it yourself, or why did?
I built it myself. Andrew had taught me how to build an X-pipe, so that took a lot of time. And just fabricating, getting everything to line up, because it's a dual 3-inch, 2 X-pipe with dual 3-inch all the way out. Aside from that, one of the other big things was getting all the heater core lines to work. I kept the heat in this car, which is really nice to have, especially now that it's snowing this morning here in Minnesota.
So it's a 5.3, and then was it board 30 over to get to? So 20 over gets you to the 5.4 liter, right?
Yep.
And then Eric, that he referenced, is just one of our engine builders here in house. Definitely has a ton of knowledge in the LS platforms, along with obviously all of our major platforms and turbocharged 4-cylinders. And then he just mentioned Andrew, who is our quality assurance or lead fab, and he learned some skills from Andrew and was able to probably get a lot of this LS knowledge based on some of our employees who are pretty well versed in LS. Kyle, one of our co-founders, super LS-based guy, runs a lot of Chevy. In general, Kyle and I have that. We're good friends in that regard just because we're both Chevy fans. So it's cool to see someone else swapping a Chevy motor here at an import shop into, in all cases, obviously a European car. So very cool to see. Let's go a little bit more into on what makes it unique in regards to either the transmission and then the setup for drifting, what you've done to make this the ideal drift setup.
All right. So things that make it unique. One is I'm running a Polaris Slingshot transmission.
What?
Yeah.
What is a Polaris Slingshot? So the little three-wheeler thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
is it 5-speed or 6-speed? What is that?
5-speed H pattern. It's like a Honda shift pattern.
That thing's ran behind an Ecotech motor.
Yeah.
Slingshots.
Yep. It's the same. So they also put it in the Colorados and the Solstice, like the Saturn Sky Pontiac Solstice. It's all the same family of transmissions. What makes this one a perfect fit for this car was the shifter location. So the Slingshot runs a mid-mounted shifter, which actually lined up with the factory hole on this car perfectly.
Cool. So where the shifter comes through the floor was just kind of made sense to run that transmission. Yeah. So when it came to first firing up the car, really just buttoning up things like wiring, etc., what was that like? And yeah, I guess how did that first startup go once you got the engine kind of mounted in here? What were the next steps, and what did that look like for you?
So once I got the engine and trans all the way in, just pieced together the accessory drive, and my last piece I was waiting for was a wiring harness from Wiring Specialties. This car went from not running, didn't look like it would run, to fired up first start in 1 hour after the harness got here.
Wow, so they make something that's pretty easy as far as plug and play for LS.
Simple. Yeah, it was the best purchase on this car, I'd say. It was super nice.
I think that's one of the most intimidating factors, at least for me, from a guy that doesn't want to do wiring or has no knowledge of wiring schematics or really how to build a wiring harness. I think it's nice to know that there is some plug and play operations, even if they are a little bit more they cost a little bit more than maybe simple wiring harness or having Andrew do it for you on the side. But it is nice to know that that's available for LS-based swaps into these cars. So it's very cool. Yeah. Due to some things that had happened and occurred out on the racetrack, Kurt had to do some exterior modifications. So next up, we're going to just run down what that list of modifications is and why they were done. It's good that he can look back and laugh at this because it's a little bit of a scary moment for most of us, the people that were there or the people that heard about it and weren't there. So why don't you walk us through what exterior modifications you had to make and why?
So this car now has over fenders. I put click tuning over fenders on this.
And they look good.
They look good. They fixed it to an extent. So my first drift event with this car was, I think, sometime in early May.
Yeah, spring this last year, right?
Yep,
Up at Brainerd?
This year, yep.
The Drift Mentality Bash.
Yep, Drift Mentality Bash.
It's a great event. If you guys are in Minnesota or in the Midwest and you like to go drifting, definitely come check it out.
I was coming out of the carousel. There's a series of S-turns. I don't know what turn number they are. But I came through it and I was in my mojo. I had it going and
Car had just got done, right? How long had the car been done and tuned?
It had been tuned for like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So carousel went good, came out of that, went through, and there's a little like S-turn, and I kicked it out, came back, and then it like snapped back sideways on me, and I actually ended up, because it was springtime, the ground was really soft. So I slid off track into the grass. As soon as I hit the pea gravel, my car rolled. So I did a full 180 onto the roof.
Were you by yourself in the car?
No, me and my coworker Sam here, we were in the car, and we got out safe. Nobody got hurt, no fuel went spilling, like no fire happened, nothing. I got out laughing, because like, I don't know, to me like it sucks looking back at it, but to me I was having so much fun that day. It just wasn't a huge deal.
So I need to ask for everyone out there, the rumor's true. Did you come over and He-Man and by yourself roll the car back over? Is that what happened?
No.
Okay. Tell us how you got the car from being upside down to right way up.
So after I'd slid out of the car, a bunch of people came running over onto the track, obviously. We got out, so the car only rolled 180. It landed on its roof. Everyone that came to help push it decided just roll it over, get it back on 4.
Yeah, it's rolled.
Yeah.
Keep the tires down, right?
But they went over the side that hadn't hit the ground. So
they rolled it the wrong direction. So the side of the car already had damage. The top of the car has damage. Instead of going back the same way it came,
yeah, we completed the circle of damage.
so it went all the way 360.
Which actually, with how hard that, it was a really light rollover. Like the actual roll was light. That actually did more damage to the roof than the actual event of the roll. You look at the roof here?
Yeah, he's got a custom vortex generator you guys will see here at the top of this roof line right above his windshield. And now that was your first windshield too, right? I had just got you, the car just got done. Kurt just put a new windshield banner on. He's proudly rocking that MAPerformance brand new windshield decal that I got for him. I had to make some special effort to get it for him in time to race this car. And he went out, cracked his first windshield. Now we're here today. We have exterior modifications such as the over fenders to correct this.
Yep.
The rest of this roof, you came back in, you had the car ready to go kind of the next day, right? You came in, you fixed the roof by just kind of pounding it out.
Yeah, so I actually had the sunroof back and all the windows down. So the roof had actually crushed. I rolled the sunroof out and that lined it up. I used a floor jack, a metal rod, and a 2x6 across the roof and jacked it up until it was in line again. Popped the windshield out and had another one put in, it was ready to rip.
It's just proof that you can't fix all drift cars with just zip ties, guys. You need a little ingenuity, you need some friends that know what to do, and you need to have a little bit of ain't care, right?
A little bit.
But it's good, again, that he can look back in his lap, that everyone was safe, everyone's still having fun, he's still enjoying the car. But obviously, as you guys can see, it's not just the roof, it's not just the sides of the car. Kurt is back again with another broken windshield. So what happened this time, Kurt?
So, I didn't unplug the airbag sensor in the back seat. I took the seat cushion out of the back. My harnesses come off my shoulders and the buckle hit the impact sensor, tossed the harness off, hit the sensor, detonated the airbag. We were just sitting in line waiting to go run.
So the windshield is broken again, and he needs another windshield banner again.
That brings me to a $500 annual windshield budget so far this year.
Oh, that's good.
But that's all right. They let me party the rest of the weekend, and it was fun.
So obviously you've crashed the car. You came out okay. Did you have safety gear in the car? Maybe you can give us a rundown on what you've done in the interior of the car. Kind of talk about how safe this is, especially going through something like that with you and a passenger. It's got to be a little bit scary. So tell us what you've done to ensure safety in this vehicle.
Yeah, so when I first got the car, the driver's seat was stuck. So I put Kirky aluminum just drag series seats in it. I'm running 4-point harnesses with a roll bar. It doesn't have a full roll bar, it's a harness bar currently.
Okay.
It's going off for a cage here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, so that actually kept everyone safe when the roll happened. I had just got the passenger seat installed a couple days before the event.
Just goes to show you, no matter how tight of a budget you're on for a project car, no matter what you're doing, no matter how your focus is on the power and performance of your car, Definitely consider safety before you go out and race that car, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect example.
And always have a fire extinguisher.
I think if Kurt's like me and we both like to do skids, we both like to beat on some stuff, I maybe wouldn't have had that foresight to think about the safety side. I know I potentially would have been out there driving a car without a roll bar, and in that same scenario where he rolled with a passenger, I don't think things would have been quite as good without the harnesses, without the Kirky seats being mounted, with those things. So definitely consider safety anytime you guys are building the car. We'll walk you through a little bit more on what is done inside, because the only other thing that you really need to see is probably the fire extinguisher. We're yet to have a fire within the car. You haven't had a fire. Not even when it rolled, there was no fire.
Spend a whole lot of time double checking your fittings, make sure everything is really solid before you start that thing.
Now that we've learned a little bit more about your BMW build and your drift car, kind of what it means to you, we want to walk through just learning a little bit more about you and your connection here at MAP. Why don't we do that next, and then we're going to let him do a skid.
Yeah, the two American cars were partying the hardest, boy.
You drive a European car, it's not American.
It's American engines.
So we've got a rundown of Kurt's car. We kind of walked around, showed you a little bit about the build. I'm really interested in, I think the viewers will be too, Kurt, where are you taking the car next? You mentioned maybe a roll cage, some other things. Why don't you fill us in with what plans you have for this car?
Sure. Yeah, so essentially the plan this winter is I want to put a cage in it. We're going to do like a 6-point. Andrew's going to help me out with that. Pretty excited for that. Shortly following that, the car's going straight to paint. We'll reveal that color at a later time, perhaps.
Ooh, he's got something up his sleeves.
Oh yeah. Then after that, I want to do an AccuSump on the engine and put a new intake manifold and oil cooler on it, and then get it retuned. Hopefully, get around 430 horsepower.
Wow. And that's you said you're making around 400 now. That's on pump gas, right?
It's on the 85.
So you are running ethanol, even
Yep.
though it's NA. You're still running ethanol.
Yep. It works really good. It gets terrible fuel economy, but it works real good.
Yeah, we see that in a lot of boosted applications, but we know you can pick up power. It's just like running a higher octane, right?
Yep.
Cooling properties work out, so.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to get into a speed fire round. I got a couple questions to ask you. I'm just going to want you to fire back quick answers, and we're going to go through probably 5 questions real quick. Have some fun. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. First question. Who do you look up to the most at the shop and why?
I'd definitely say Kyle.
Okay, cool.
He's been a great friend and awesome mentor. I learn a lot and hang out with those guys just about every weekend.
Good answer. Kyle's a co-founder of the business. He is also very Chevy. He loves his Chevys, but he definitely is a good guy to know when it comes to cars. And personally, me, I didn't get into cars until really I met Kyle as well. So that's interesting that we share that same person in that regard. So very cool. Question number 2. What's been your favorite moment with your drift car thus far?
Definitely PG.
That's Proving Grounds. MAPerformance Proving Grounds. If you guys haven't heard of it, go ahead and Google it or watch some of our other videos where we feature some drivers from Proving Grounds.
So everything about that weekend was just awesome. That's my birthday weekend. Me, Nam, one of our coworkers here, and Matt Nelson, and then Chance Crooks competed in the team tandem drift comp.
Yeah,
that was my first time ever driving tandem.
And you guys took home second place?
We got second place, and then I got invited to night drifting, and that is like a show in itself, and that was super fun. But
yeah, I got some ride-alongs this year. I think we even put Kyle Loftus in the car for some night drifting as well.
He was in Matt's vet behind me. That was really fun.
Awesome. Question number 3. What is the most valuable skill you have learned while you've worked here? So the last 5 years, what have you learned? What's the most valuable skill, and how do you apply that in your day-to-day life?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I've learned so much here. It'd be hard to narrow it down to one, but between just my day-to-day job doing logistics, I've learned so much about like parts, how things work, and then outside of work, like learning how to weld after work, learning how to just fabricate and do things. I don't know. It's hard to narrow it down to one thing.
Yeah, I think 5 years is a long time for anyone, so you probably learned a lot in both cases.
Oh, yeah.
That engine building that you walked through, is that the first time you had built an engine? Was this your first time ever actually building an engine yourself? Outside of small motors, because I know you like small motor stuff too.
Yeah, so I built a Suzuki Samurai engine when I was 16.
It's like a 1 liter or 1.3
1.3 liter.
Yeah, okay.
But up to that, I hadn't done anything. And Eric put this engine together, but I was there helping and like learning the whole time. And that was super cool.
Awesome. What is your dream car? And why?
It's fair.
Don't say BMW drift car because you already got one.
No, I know. I want to build a full-blown like pro Pro 2 level like drift car of some sort. Not necessarily BMW chassis, but I'd like to build like a full-blown race car, like 700-800 wheel horsepower, like dry sump, just a nasty machine.
So Kurt sees himself in the driver's seat. He can't zoom out far enough to see the car, but he can tell you what the car feels like and how that car performs. And that's your dream car?
Yep.
I like that. That's a good enough answer for me. I'm gonna take that one. And question number 5 is real easy. Again, quickest answer, whatever jumps in your mind. Can I drive the car?
My car?
Can I do skids in the car?
I mean, sure.
He thought about it and still said, sure, guys.
I guess.
I'm doing skids. Let's get them done, boys. Stay tuned. We got skids up next.
And now it's broken.
So I just broke an axle. That's fine.
All right, guys, thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed Kurt's rundown of his car just as much as we enjoy having you here every day, Kurt. He's been here again for 5 years, so definitely appreciate that. Lastly, we want to talk about how to enter this giveaway. It's very simple. Kurt mentioned earlier he's going to be painting this car. I need you guys to comment below. First person to guess the right color in the comments wins this hoodie and a $25 MAPerformance gift card, good for any parts on our website. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.